How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Overworld, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today, guys, I want to discuss something that I find pretty interesting. Now, as we know, there is a new Pokemon Switch game coming out in the next year or so, within probably 2018 or early 2019. Somewhere in this area, we're going to be getting ourselves a new Pokemon Switch game. Now, today I want to talk about specifically that subject, the Pokemon Switch game, and one thing about that game that I want to ask your opinions on and give my suggestions for what could happen. So, we're going to talk about how gameplay on the Pokemon Switch could work. Now, please keep in mind, this is all just speculation of mine. These are all just my suggestions and how I think things may go. So if you think differently, let me know in the comments down below. If you find any information that you think could lead towards an actual answer, any potential leaks and stuff, let me know in the comments or hit me up on Twitter. But either way, let's get right into this. So to begin with, I want to kind of point out 3 steps we're going to go with here, right? 3 specific things for the gameplay. We're going to go with battles, the overworld, or rather the general gameplay, and communications. And when I say communications, I'm talking about how you interact with characters and stuff in the game. So let's start with battles. Now, for battles, I have specifically 4 different versions that I think could work, and we're going to go through them one by one. So let's get started with the first one here, which I think is the easiest to make and makes the most sense as well, which is the classic battle system for Pokemon. Now, the classic battle system is just the one you always had for every single Pokemon game. It's always been the same one. You all know it. Just, you know, fight, bag, run, Pokemon. It's the classic way we've always had it. You pick your move has a probability of hitting or not, it does its move, then the other Pokemon attacks, or whoever has the highest speed will attack first. You get it. That is the most likely one to happen. They may just likely stay with the general way of Pokemon, like how it's always worked. One, because it's going to be their Pokemon Switch game for the first, or like their first Pokemon Switch game, so it would make sense for them to stick with what they're used to, and what the community and the people who play Pokemon, who are more casual, are also used to. Because if you give a Game Boy to somebody who's kind of old, you know what I mean, like in their 20s or something like that, and you ask them like, oh, can you play this Pokemon game? They will most likely know how to do things, and how to actually go into a battle, and how to handle themselves there. But if you give them a Switch Pokemon game, and you have this brand new battle system, it is less likely that they will understand what's going on. And since they want to cater to the largest possible demographic, and specifically with Pokemon being so big, they want to hit as many people as possible with that, and sell as many copies as possible, they would want to make it simplified so that people can understand it, so it also, like, it can work both for professional people who want to, like, professionally, you know, battle in, you know, in tournaments and stuff, but also, you know, not make it too deep to the point where the general public wouldn't understand it. So you kind of get the point. But the second version that I want to mention here is real-time battles like in Pokken. And this is the one that I think is at least likely to happen. The reason why is you would have to make animations for every single Pokemon in the whole game. And you would have to make every single animation for a fainting Pokemon, specific moves, you know, like moves that are specific to each individual Pokemon, stuff like Z moves if they've decided to, like, pull that over, if they keep Megas in the game, like, all these things have to be accounted for. So the fact that, like, people would assume that Pokken would be a sort of system they would use, I'm less inclined to think that would happen. I mean, it could be possible. There are probably ways around it to make it easier so they don't have to make, you know, a system that is exactly like Pokken, but this is the version I'm talking about right here, is to have it just like Pokken, which I think is less likely. But we have 2 more options here on this list. The next one is a real-time battles mixed with classic battles, kind of like in, you know, Ni no Kuni, but this is also less likely to happen, but at the same time, I think this could work pretty well, right? It's a battle where you still have the classic way, like Trinity almost, you know what I mean, like fight, bag, Pokemon, run, but you also have the option of moving around your Pokemon in the battlefield and firing your abilities from a specific, you know, position. Now, we've already seen there are fan games that have managed to do things like this. We've seen several fan games that have been able to achieve this sort of thing, so it's likely they could also do this for an actual official Pokemon game. So I think it is not impossible, in all honesty. I think it is doable, though with the time frame they've had, you know, being, like, working on the game for a year or more, it's unlikely they would be able to, you know, get something like that, you know, that big and large out within that amount of time, considering they're getting pressured from Nintendo to get their game out as quickly as possible. But that's besides the point. Now, that was one of the systems. Now, the final system I have in mind here is the Persona 5 approach. Now, what I mean by this is, if you guys haven't played Persona 5, Persona 5 has the classic, you know, kind of RPG, you know, like JRPG kind of fighting system. The same thing like in Pokemon, but, you know, slightly different. And the way you use certain moves, it's very fast-paced. Like, you can spam sometimes, like, X just to shoot off a gun or whatever. It's kind of interesting, and I thought, like, if you had something like that, where basically a Pokemon could, like, you could spam, like, whatever button, the A button or whatever, several times, so that you can make a Pokemon move, like, faster and faster and faster into a tackle or a quick attack, or something like that. There are possibilities for things like these in the game, and I think an approach like this could both work and make things pretty interesting. So, I don't know, what do you guys think? Which of these options do you think is more likely? So, option number 1, classic battles, but just faster and cleaner animations. Option number 2, real-time battles like in Pokken Tournament. Or option number 3, a combination of the two, real-time battles mixed with classic battles. Or option number 4, the Persona 5 approach. Let me know which one you guys think is better and which one could, work better and which one you prefer more in the comments down below. Now, let's go over to the Overworld. Now, for the Overworld, there are only 2 options I have here, right? The first option is close camera that is exactly like in Sun and Moon. Like a closer camera, but like not like in a third-person view, right? I'm thinking they would probably go with the same approach they did with Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon, X and Y almost, sort of, something like that. I mean, maybe more like Sun and Moonish almost, I would say, but that is the most likely thing to happen, right? It would probably be the easiest one for them to do, but they could also do option number 2, which is third-person view camera. This would be from the behind of the character, and I can actually see if I can find an image here of kind of a representation of what I'm talking about, because there are fan games that have done this, so you can kind of see an image of what I mean. Something like this would be pretty awesome. I would love a third-person view camera, maybe just a little bit elevated above the character so you can see things in front of you as well in a really nice manner. But I think a third-person view camera, in a manner like that, or maybe even in a way that it looks like almost like Fortnite or something like that, or games like PUBG, like where, it leans to one specific, position, like left or right, that would be pretty awesome. A third-person camera would be perfect for Pokemon. I think it would work really well. Let me know your opinions, guys. Which do you think is a good way to do this? Like, what is a good way to do the Overworld and the actual general gameplay of the game beyond battles and things such as that? So let me know what you guys think is the better option. Which of these do you think is better? So do you prefer closer camera, like in Sun and Moon, like Gen 7, but, a bit closer, so it isn't too far away like it's been in most of the, current games we've had? Or do you prefer a third-person view right behind a character, like not super close, but, far enough back and maybe, more to the left or more to the right, so you can actually see things in front of you properly? Which do you guys think sounds better and which do you prefer? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, let's go to the next one. Now, next up is communications. Now, what I mean by communications is actual in-game NPC talking and that sort of stuff. Now, I think, honestly, for in-game communications, it's mainly going to be 2 options here, and it is normal text communication with characters, and option number 2 is voice acted. Now, we'll get to voice acting in a second, but let's start with the first one, normal text communication. That's the most likely one, right? It would be easier for them, and Pokemon has always been a franchise, or the main series games have always been sort of, a thing where we've never seen voice acting, ever. Like, never, ever have we seen that. So the likeliness of them adding something in, like option number 2 here, which is voice acting, is very unlikely. So far, the only game I can think of recently that's been released, or that's coming out, that's not even out yet, actually it's coming out tomorrow, is Detective Pikachu, and that's the only game I can think of that has voice acting. So, in all honesty, I am really torn on if this could be a possible thing, or if this would even make any sense. In all honesty, I don't think voice acting is very likely. I think they would more likely just stick with normal text, so that's just my general opinion, guys. But either way, that's all I want to do for this video, guys. I want to kind of discuss these ideas, and I want to ask you guys, which of these do you think seems to make the most sense? In my honest opinion, I feel like the real-time battles mixed with classic battles would make the most sense. But also at the same time, I think kind of a mix between, the option number 1 and option number 4 could work. Something like the Persona 5 approach, but, it would still be classic battles, but just maybe faster and cleaner animations. Something like that would be easier for them to make, and it would be able to make it quicker, and also it would work and it would be different somewhat. Still, it would be the same, concept at the end of the day, but it would still have something different enough in it to the point where you could class it as a different system. But then again, I want to know your opinions, guys. Let me know in the comments down below, guys. Which of these do you think sounds like a reasonable, gameplay plan of doing things? Like, do you prefer a mixture of option number 1, in battles, and then option number 2 in Overworld, and then option number, 2 on communications? Like, pick out which ones you prefer more, and let me know in the comments down below. But either way, thank you so much for watching, guys. My name is Overworld. Have a good old day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.